are all over the country. We'll bring you live reports from the Eastern Cape, KwaZulu-Natal, the Western Cape, Northern Cape, Northwest, and every other province in this country.
Well, speaking of the Eastern Cape, let's take you to Port Elizabeth now. That's where we believe heavy winds are causing havoc. ENCA's Aviwa Mtila joins us now live with an update. Aviwa, just how much damage is the wind doing there?
Well, they've damaged some of the tents in and around the Port Elizabeth area. I am at Kayam Nandi at this moment, where, as you can see, these tents, essentially, it's raining heavily and the tents have actually fallen down. The people here, this is a voting station in Ward 29, the dispatch area in the Nelson Mandela Metropolitan, but now the people here are going to be moved into another house that is nearby in order for the voting to take place. In fact, the ballot boxes have already left. You can see the officials are sitting around now, but the ballot boxes have already left here. We understand that the weather is not the only problem that has actually faced this particular voting station. The voting it actually stopped from around 12 o'clock. For 2.5 hours we're here. But I just want to talk to some of the party officials here on what the issues have been. Thank you for joining us at ENCA. But can you tell us what made the voting stop from 12 o'clock?
The first challenge we had here was a shortage of material. At 12 they had to stop because there was not enough material. Then while we were still waiting for the material, weather conditions were against us. The tent almost fell and it was raining heavily. So we've been waiting since. We couldn't continue since 12 o'clock.
And then just on the IEC, what is it saying about the material and also the weather that's impacting here, making the move to another house?
Yes, they take the ballot boxes inside the police fence so that they must be not wet. And then they go and we inspect the house there at the bottom. Then the house is right.
And then I just want to make sure on those safety issues and making sure that the ballot boxes have been covered. Are you allowed to accompany the police van yourselves? Have you checked that everything is in order?
I can safely say everything is in order because they did invite all the party agents that were here at the station, and we've seen everything. I can safely say everything is in order. Safety and security was part of it. Even with regards to inspection of the house where we are now moving to, I can safely say we are happy. Believe me, all the parties that were here were invited and they were part of it.
Okay, those are some of the officials here in Port Elizabeth, the party officials guarding the ballot boxes and making sure that everything is in order. But as you can see, this tent is basically fallen apart, and it's not the only one. We had word from the IEC, an official we're trying to track down, telling us that a tent in Uitenhage as well as the Zwide township is just some of the tents that have been affected by this heavy rainfall in Port Elizabeth. We're not sure as yet whether this will result in a lower turnout in the Nelson Mandela Metropolitan area.
And Aviwa, before we let you go, in terms of what the IEC says the situation is there in Port Elizabeth, do they have any contingency plans to deal with issues like a broken tent and it's storming outside?
Well, for now, all we're seeing is that they're making emergency plans where they just, even for this particular instance, they're going to a nearby house. So that seems like an emergency plan. The official that we spoke to earlier on is literally running around. We can't even track them. It doesn't seem that there is a plan in place for the tents that are falling apart because now they're running around and it seems like the direction is not there from what we can see.
All right, well, thanks very much for that update. Our reporter Aviwa Mtila live to us there in Port Elizabeth. This is what the insurance companies will call an act of God.